This is the Weigh-In Podcast by Benoit Chestnut.
And Sebastian Romero.
And on this week's Weigh-In Podcast, we are back to bring to you the Untold story. And for that, let's get right into it. So, for many of you that have not been there last time, we're going to do this almost like a TV show. We're going to catch you up. So, meanwhile, we talked about the karate gym, TKO. We talked about the first Muay Thai, almost karate gym in Roselle Park, in our hometown of Roselle Park. We talked about that, how, there was the ATA used to be, and then we came into telling the story on how we got to Park Elite. How we got to Park Elite is a very unique story. We used to walk by it. The first time we got eye set, we saw this nice glazing poster of Angelino Caroba getting ready for his fight. It was the fight that was set. That's where he was going to fight Axel Vega. And when he was going to fight Axel Vega, we saw the sign. And, I said, Sebastian, it's a boxing fight on tonight. We got to see this. And he says to me, yo, you're right, bro. He could be a campeon. He's going to go for a belt. I said, yeah. So we have to see that. So meanwhile, we find a way to get access to this fight. And when we get access to this fight, we start watching the fight. We see Angelino take that upset victory. And after we see Angelino take that upset victory, we kind of looked and said to ourselves, like, okay, like this is, wow. We wish we could meet this guy, And, fast forward a couple of weeks after that, I believe, it was a couple weeks after that, we were able to, meet Angelino. We were able to meet Angelino, and that's when we first, started to get to know that Park Elite crew. That was like, when we got to meet, Percy, Mervin Luciano, and a lot of the park at the time, a lot of the Park Elite trainers. And that's when we kind of started to get to know. And that's when we kind of started seeing what Angelino was doing, learning
Yeah.
Angelino, being around Angelino. And that kind of started the mood for us to say, hey, it's our time to start, wanting to box. It's our time to start wanting to do like Angelino, to look good and do great things, and that was, that is basically where we got ourselves up to. And I'm gonna hand it over to my partner to get in, because my side of the story is very simple. We were going to see Angelino. We were in there. A lot of things were going. We were provided with an opportunity to train in the gym, and we seized the moment. We seized the moment to train and what we consider is a lucrative, you know, we feel is it's got that prestigious gym, I would say. Many would not agree with me, but it's prestigious to us.
Exactly. Yeah. I 100% agree with what you were saying, Chestnut. It was a great opportunity we had since we first met Angelino, saw him fight. Then we met Angelino Percy in Parkley Boxing Academy in Rose Park, New Jersey. And we didn't start boxing right away when we went to the boxing gym. We used to just go as fans, talk with the owner, talk with Angelino, and talk to all the boxers there, and just have a great time every day with them every day. But then after that, the owner person was like, why don't you guys start boxing? And me though at the time, like we were not boxing. So you're like, you know what? You're like, let's give it a try. Let's try boxing. So then we started boxing in Park Elite.
No, no, that was after Merv. Remember Merv? Merv got you in. Remember Merv started it. Mervin started it. Remember Mervin got deep with that. Every time we used to come in, Merv would be like, "You guys got to be boxing. Come on, let me do the pad work with you guys.
Exactly.
You're gonna like it. You're gonna be real good." And we went in on that. We went in. Merv really pushed us. I would say Mervin really, truly brought it out in us to start boxing. He pushed him. Percy was pushing a little bit. He's like, yo, you guys want to box? You guys should be boxing. Come on. You come in here for about an hour. You could have, trained. And Mervin comes in and says, you know, Sebastian, you can really box. Trust me. This boxing is gonna be good for you. You know how you can look good. You're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna feel sexy. And at the time we were like, yeah, we want to look good. We want to feel good. We started boxing, and we grasped onto it, in a way where we were able to understand that
Exactly.
it was fun. It was, being able to go in there and give the bag that work. Be able to do some of the embark in the training. You know,
Yeah, exactly. And then since then we started boxing, and it was an opportunity we had to box there. Be great because of course you pay a boxing gym, but because we when we before we
yeah, yeah,
boxed there
we were.
we before we boxed there, like I used to record
We got
them
like a
and
free
post on my
trial.
Instagram and Facebook. So I was taking like not sponsoring them because I'm not, but like giving them content for people to see this gym and all that. So since we were doing that and we started boxing, me and Bill, we both got to box. We were there. We got to box. We boxed there 6 months for free, almost a year. Then after we were done boxing a year, then we started paying Percy to box there. But because we were giving him sponsorship and like helping him and stuff, we were allowed to box there for a full year free. And then after that, we started paying him to box there. But then I kept doing videos for Percy and showing content for everybody, and he loved that I was supporting Park Elite to the fullest as being a boxer there and showing behind the scenes how everything works. And
Yeah, yeah,
to this day, I don't live in Roseville Park no more. I live in Florida, and I don't go to Park Elite no more. But when I go back, I visit there. But I'm still always when I see them post, I'll talk about them on my YouTube channel or here in the weigh-in, or I'll post them on Instagram or Facebook because I'm showing where my roots came from and where I'm always going to be
right.
from.
You're showing them old stomping grounds. So if many of you haven't know and you want to get a look at Park Elite, look them up Instagram. If not, we filmed a whole video with Dangerous Daniel inside of Park Elite, so you can get some of that vibes of that gym. But it is a gym. It is a gym, and that is kind of how we started. And then when we learned our boxing, our knowledge became very well like, okay, you guys got to be like, why, it came very quickly. So meanwhile, while that's happening, you know, all credit is where due. We talk about how Sebastian's mom said, like, yo, you guys are always like still hanging out, still doing this and that. You guys got to start something. And that's when we looked at each other and we both, brainstormed. We both brainstormed some ideas. We came back, and that's when I kind of presented the full concept of, hey, this is the weigh-in. And that's kind of how I
Exactly.
said it. In the first initial, I said, this is the weigh-in. And it's going to be by me and you, bro. And it's going to talk all about sports. We have such a great network of right now. We got Angelino, we've got Dangerous Daniel, we've got Percy, we got Pop, who tells us all about these fights. Now, both of us, as him, he was full on trained by Merv. Merv was in his like Merv was ready to get him a fight. When he was ready, Merv was like, listen, I'm gonna get you on a card. Just let me know when you're ready. You
Exactly.
know, Merv was ready to, hey, let's get you that amateur. We're gonna get you. I was kind of, a little bit, while Jose was in there, a little Jose. But as soon as my guy Tony Santana got in there, as we talked about last episode, Tony um, came all the way from whatever he was doing, but he also was in with the Bro House. For some of you wrestling ducks that watch this video, Bro House. Some of you, a lot of you that watch, you'll probably remember that Bro House was a
Exactly.
nice gym. So Tony comes all the way from there. So I had tremendous amount of respect for Tony since he was over there with Cooney. And when Tony joined the gym, that's when I fully was on with Tony. Like I would go in there early just so I could work with Tony, just so I could work with Tony. Then I would stay late sometimes, so Percy could tell me a thing or two. I wanted to learn. And I was even there for sometimes where Mervin would say, hey, watch what you're doing. Mervin used to even, do a little things. And then he would, Then Tony would do the pad work with me. It was so much that we learned in that time to be able to do a lot of that stuff. That's where we said, hey, this is really like this is going well for us. This is going well enough that we know we can continue this on this magnitude what we were doing, and it felt really great. So after Sebastian's mom goes, hey, you guys should start something. I pitched the weigh-in. Sebastian goes, let's do this. So
Exactly.
this is about the best back mount route story it could ever get. We didn't save our money up to buy really good cameras. We didn't do none of that. We pulled out an
Exactly.
iPhone. The only thing we went is we bought ourselves a tripod. You won't believe this, which I still have mine to this day. We bought a tripod. We bought colored
Exactly.
tripods, and I will never forget. We bought a tripod. It was the most simplest thing. We were like, okay, what do we get? And we were like, you know what? We're not going to spend all this money. And you know what? To be honest with you, um, we didn't even have our own tripod to begin with. We were using Sebastian's mom's tripod first, and then after a while, we just started. We noticed that obviously everybody works. They have stuff to do. We'd have to wait and wait and wait. So we decided it was the best move for us to buy our own tripods and say, hey, let's buy a tripod so then we don't have to wait no more. So the night before, we could talk with your mom. We do our set so it looks good, basically the living room. And then we film
Exactly.
the next day with our tripod so we don't have to wait. And, it became a game changer. That was something, we give credit where it's due. If you don't, we're going to mention a guy that has probably been the most like, you can't say enough to how true it was to when we started. Roman Atwood always says you don't have to have the fancy cameras. You don't have to have certain stuff when you start. We didn't. We started with a cell phone. Then more longer down as we get into the story, just basically that, I'm just touching how the weigh-in came up through this boxing story, that is some really how the boxing came in, I'll finish the rest of this after my partner will go ahead and do what he wants to say. And then, I'm going to get in and really get you. It's like we're getting deep weigh-in right now.
No, yeah, 100% agree. Like when we came up for the Wayne idea, because we've been best we we've been best friends since we were young, babies and everything, and now we're already adults, freaking more than 25 years old
That's a
or
story in itself. Friendship is a story in itself. I think, if it really came down to it, we would share that story. But this is, but you just gotta want it. We get them likes for it. We will definitely break down the story because friendship goes a long way. Just to say a quick thing, not everybody gets the opportunity to say, hey, this is my friend that I went through middle school, high school, that,
exactly.
when I get up and I say, yo, I didn't get that girl. He's like, all right, let me pop me a ghost and let me hear it. That is me. Like, it's so true. Like, that's like, if anybody knows me, it's always like somebody calls me, oh, yo, are you asleep?
Exactly.
Are you asleep? Yes, I'm asleep, but my ghost is only 3 steps away. What's up? Let me pop me a ghost. That's the guy I was, that's a separate story in itself. All those, and you know what? When I didn't have one, this was the funny part. We would walk to the 7-Eleven and he would say, why we gotta go to 7-Eleven? I said, well, you know what? I gotta get a ghost. And he says, you gotta get a ghost. Then he walk outside, you know, we will not condone to ever do this activity, smoking, but he would smoke two and go, oh, well guess
Yeah,
what? I just smoked 2 cigarettes. Now I don't have any more. So now I got to go with you because now I need a whole new pack of cigarettes while you get your
exactly.
ghost. Then we go get the ghost. Ghost, is a absolute superb brand. I love it. After I have a ghost, I would say I feel really good. Like I don't feel like I'm like, I don't crash. I feel like I'm really good. I feel like it helps me, I feel like it's not the worst of energy drinks. I feel like for me, I feel like it's kind of okay enough.
Exactly. Just
Because
like
I kind of feel like the best things for you, the vitamin shop is a shop that we have been to. That's a story in itself. We don't ever like you don't see the vitamin shop sell stuff that's really, really bad for you, because they sell stuff that's like for lifting and all this. So they sell Ghost. So I knew Ghost was like the thing, bro. Like I was like, this is like the thing, you know. To be honest, I got to give credit to my college wrestling teammate. I heard it first from my college wrestling teammate, and that's when I went, I got to try this. I go to New Jersey, I come home, I try a Ghost, bro. And the one of the times, man, I kid you not, we went, we 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 did one thing that we normally don't do, bro. We ate fast food. We had Taco Bell. We looked. We said, "Oh my god, that was so good." And the first thing Sebastian says to me is, "I need a ghost, bro." I'm feeling I need a ghost, but there's no 7-Eleven nearby. I said, Sebastian, we were on Route 22. I said, Sebastian, bro, there's a vitamin shop right next to you. You know, vitamin shop sells ghosts. No, they don't. And we settled a non-money bet. Like we didn't bet any money. I said, I bet you they're gonna have ghosts. No, they're not. He walks right in. He goes, oh, they got ghosts. Yo, bro, did you hear? It's 2 for $3. Like we came back. I had two ghosts. He had two ghosts. We went to what was hanging out with his family. You know, where they were at another somebody's house. But that's how we are. Like me, I'm like somebody calls me 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm up. Let me get my ghost, and then I'll listen to you. I drink my ghost. I listen to what's being said. Like there are countless people, like friends, family, that always call me at those late hours. Like it'll be like 1, 2. I'll wake up. I hear the ring. I wake up. I grab my ghost. That's it. So that's just I know we're veering a little sidetrack, but that ghost is essential to the weigh-in. Like there are so many late nights we prep for these videos. We have two ghosts in hand, and we're like, okay, what's our segment? Like what are we gonna do? One of the biggest things we veered ourselves. I'll let him get into something, but I'm gonna get into the biggest veer in a minute. So go ahead, take over.
Like I was saying, so like the one was saying, of course, because of course, like we say, we don't condone smoking or drinking or none of that. But like, yeah, like me, as you know, I do smoke cigarettes. So as you probably already know, or you don't, I do. And then like the one says his ghost was his vitamins. While for me, my cigarette was my vitamins. Like I always say, a cigarette a day keeps the doctor away. I know it's not true, but that's what I
Yeah,
say.
disclaimer that is not true in no way, shape, or form. That we are
No,
not
I say that because I'm
alleging.
addicted and I smoke. So that's why I say that, but it's not true. But then also Ghost, I also got addicted to Ghost too because after that one started drinking Ghost, I started drinking too. And since I started drinking Ghost, I love Ghost. My favorite flavor is the Warhead flavor. And Ghost is good because it's healthy. It's a healthy energy drink. No sugar, no nothing. And it's sold by the vitamin shop because it's healthy for you. And it's something that's going to give you real good energy. It's not going to be like Monster or Red Bull, other ones that have like chemicals and ingredients that hurt you. This is especially made by vitamins and by doctors themselves or
No,
whoever created.
that we don't know. So we're not going to disclaim, that about Ghost. That we don't know. But we're not. We're just saying our opinion is we feel it has been healthy for our diets. Always consult. I have to say this disclaimer: always consult a physician before doing anything. We are not certified licensed physicians at all. Let me just get that out of the way, and you can continue.
Exactly. So whoever made Ghost or whoever it is, I don't know for sure who made it, but made it so it could be so for bodybuilders and workers and anybody
Yo,
to
I
be
think I
like,
think the near future for us, like Go Flight, I think they call themselves Go. There's Ghost Lifestyle. Man, in the near future, I drink so much Ghost, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one sponsorship I think the weigh-in would enjoy. Like being a part of Team Ghost, that is like more than anything, that's the goals is to be part of Team Ghost because that is literally the only energy drink we ever drink. Um, with the exception, I will give credit where credit's due, with the exception of Prime, bro. We had a few Primes, and those were pretty good. But I can't give Prime more credit than Ghost because when it comes to Ghost, I am just Ghost all the way. Like if you put Red Bull, Monster all in front of me, all that stuff, and you ask me, what a Ghost? and you ask me which one I'm gonna have, I will probably you ask you no ghost. I need a ghost. I don't do these because I feel so healthy. I feel like that it's good for my base diet of having those ghosts. But
Yeah, Ghost is really good. This is the first time I tried it. I love it, and they sell them anywhere, and it's so good and so healthy for you. When I'm tired, I'll drink one before work or whatever I'm doing. I'll drink one to keep myself awake so I can work harder in the gym or when I'm working or anything. I'll just drink it to stay work out or when I'm boxing. Like I drink Ghost because it's healthy for you and it's good energy that's gonna make you it's gonna make you really become a real ghost and live and haunt everybody the night away.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. Ghost, I'm ghost to everything. It like from even to like my pre-workout, like as you know, me and Sebastian, we go to gyms, we work out, not like bodybuilder type workouts, but we regularly work out. So even like Ghost, like I use for my pre-workout, like I'm telling you, man, we use Ghost for everything. There, there's just never not a Ghost. Like it's just not. So let's the veering of that. We have Ghost, we have all this stuff. You know, and we non-essentially we built the weigh-in on that. Like some of our first 3 nights, we popped Ghost, and we were brainstorming like, what do we do? Because I got as far as okay, the weigh-in. It's a sports podcast, and we started thinking about what was the best sports to get into. And the first sport we started was boxing only. All our episodes were box, 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 boxing. So long after that, I said, we're only putting out one episode a week. I feel like we should be
Uh,
able to, do a second epi. We should feel like we should do another epi, and we won't explain how we got into the second epi. This is just because this is our box app. This is our box app and our MMA app. And, we do this weigh-in thing. We're getting really good at it. We're getting videos out there. And then we reach out to this grappling jiu-jitsu event, Men of War. That was probably our first event we got to go to.
exactly.
That was, if I'm correct, that was before we got the opportunity to go to Minnesota. um right, that was before Minnesota.
Yes, men are working first.
So so as you guys may think, it's surprising that I don't have the details sometimes, but how it is in a podcast with two partners. Sometimes one knows more than the other, and this time he knows. So very well, we go to Men of War. It was our first event. We felt great. We had few of our graduate friends that we graduated with. One that we graduated with, one that we didn't. I believe no, I believe both we graduated with, right? No, both we graduated with.
Yes.
Um, we went to Men of War, 100% hands down best event. We met the guy that owns what, Dead Serious? Is it Dead Serious MMA?
Yes, correct.
Absolutely, like he showed us the merchandise he has. Amazing. We learned so much, and those, Men of War's owners, it's I believe family owned. Um, they gave us, a lot of insight. Like you guys are a podcast, like you guys, some of the areas we could dive into, and I think that really helped us. That helped us so much, like very well. That for the like good nature of ourselves, we knew that was gonna have to be like that
Exactly.
was really good to learn from those guys and be able to all the like we met a jiu-jitsu coach from Connecticut, and they were just saying like, yo, what you guys are doing are so good, like we love the logo. Now let's catch you up on how we even got to
And also that's the first event the Wayne podcast ever got invited to. So it was something really big
no,
for
we
us to
reached
get
out. So
invited.
I explained that a little bit, like we kind of reached out, but then like they extended our reach out and said, yeah, you guys can go. We ended up going down with a buddy of ours who ended up doing the driving. We had that scaled and done when we initially did not think Men of War was going to accept us. So we kind of, when we got accepted to Men of War, I kid you not, event was what? That like Saturday? That like
Yeah,
Wednesday,
it was like 5 p.m. to like midnight.
it was a Saturday, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So that Saturday, the Wednesday before that Saturday, we're like, oh my God, Men of War says you guys are good, you're coming, everything's set. We run to Mellow Park Mall. We go in there. We talk with Sebastian's mom, who confers him on, on a lot of the clothing choices, respectfully.
Exactly.
You know, all of us do the same thing. You go, hey mom, how does this look? So we go to Mellow Park Mall. We get in there. We tell the guy we need hoodies. When you need them by? When can you get them done by? Well, if you got time, he says, you got time today, I can get these done in a matter of 2 hours. We said, what? Or was it like 45 minutes? So therefore,
45 minutes.
we didn't go back till after 2 hours though.
We stay there because we want to eat.
Right. So we bought these hoodies. We sat down. We ate in the I don't even remember the restaurant. We ate. We ate with our friend, same friend that with us to Men of War, and we ate with him. We all ate. Then we go back right before we leave and we pick up our hoodies, our weigh-in hoodies. We were like, I kid you not, it was like kids in a candy store. We were like, oh my God, like our logo's on a hoodie. We have hoodies now. We went from wearing like Dangerous Daniel or Angelino on our podcast to finally being able to have our own like hoodie and merch line,
Exactly.
which like it super exciting. We go to Men of War, amazing event. We were met side. It felt so good. Dead Series guy was more than welcoming, as he was also there. Photographer was telling us stuff. We got to meet, if you're from New Jersey, the production boys, Antonio Valentine Production. Obviously, there's no free brand deals going on here, but we're mentioning these companies that really gave us a lot of stuff. So Antonio Valentine Productions was like, oh, you guys do a podcast? He was explaining to us, like, when you guys get bigger, like, this is kind of the setup you should have. This is like how you should like kind of run your mics and stuff like that. Little short, talk about for the for the pod. Like we were like, oh yeah, nice. Like he was telling us how, when we get big enough, when we were still in New Jersey, he manages podcasts. He's like, yo, you guys wouldn't have to do nothing. I would manage for you guys. Like it was just absolutely hands down, um, you know, the best event. And it was really good. And that was just, we are back with this one. Sorry for the cut, guys, but we're drawing an end to part one. We don't want to make this super long. Like we ended up having our women's wrestling national, which was the longest video on our channel. Don't worry, we're gonna get this to you into parts. Um, let us know if you want to hear this, or do you want to get into the happenings of certain boxing and sports. Not a lot going on right now between the UFC and boxing, so we're taking that time to bring to you a story like this. So if we veer back in, Men of War. So let's just do a rundown to mention you guys. Exponential, Park Elite, Ghost Lifestyle and Nutrition, Men of War, Antonio Valentine Production, um, Dead Serious MMA, and
Yeah.
I believe he does amateur boxing and kickboxing too. But Dead Serious MMA, um, who was Antonio Val? I think I already mentioned Antonio Valentine Product, but they were exponential to kind of telling us like, yeah, what you're doing now is it's really good. When you start making money from this, and you're still in New Jersey, we were talking about, different geographic locations. He said, you're still in New Jersey. Don't worry. I can manage for you where you won't have to, I'll be able to manage, as long as we could set something up. This was just exponential to be able to learn from all those certain kinds of people, and just, they helped us build to where we are today, and the opportunities that presented us. And I know right now we have not had a lot of guests for you guys, but do not worry. We're gonna have guests coming soon. We're gonna get we're in the process of what we call emailing. So that process consists of just basically we're sending email out to potential guests, and some say they set up, some don't. So we're in that process right now, but we will be getting you more guests as we are veering in the year with the weigh-in. You know, everything we need to do. Do not worry. So I'm gonna hand it over so we can kind of say this is it.
All right, guys. So this is part one. Hope you enjoyed part one. And like and comment, subscribe. Mostly like and comment. But if you want to see part two, comment below. Because we're gonna give you a part two. But if you want part two, so what we're gonna do, normally we don't do this. If you could give us, we're only putting part two if you do this. If you at least could give us 10 to 15 likes, we'll give you part two as soon as possible. If you could get us 10 to 15 likes, but if you take longer than that, we're going to take longer to give you part two and give you more stuff before that. But if you could give us 10 to 15 likes in this video and comment 5 comments saying, we want part two, we'll give you part two faster than ever and you're going to enjoy it. And same goes for part three and so on. Comment below 10 to 15 likes if you want part two, and comment below 5, 6 comments saying you want part two. We'll give you that as soon as possible, and then the other parts. And that's it. So be ready for part two. Hope you enjoyed this video. Comment, let us know how you liked it. And that's pretty much it. Comment, like, subscribe, click the notifications bell below. Every time you see us post, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. And let us know part two and part three and part four, and whatever part we are. But you want this, we're going to give it to you. And that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to pass it to my co-owner, Bill Chesta. So we go wait and see if you guys do anything. If you want part two fast or you want it slow, it's up to you. 10, 15 likes and 6 to 7 comments. Let's do it, guys.
So if we're near the end, with that being said, you know, that is my words. With that being said, this is the Weigh-In Podcast by Benoit Chestnut.
There's Sebastian Romero.
And that is this week's
Wow.
weigh-in. You know, we're giving it to you, but as always, weigh in out.
Oh.